Hi, this is Mr. Evans. This video is going to look at the difficulties of strategic decision making and implementation of strategies. So we're covering this first bullet point here. It's really a revision of stuff that we've covered before, so I'm not going to spend a long time going over it. But you need to know the difficulties of strategic decision making. Well, that's the process of setting an organisation's strategic direction. It might be difficult because managers have imperfect information. It's no good trying to plan if you don't have a decent amount of information. No one's ever going to have perfect information, but if you're trying to make strategic decisions and you lack important information, that's certainly going to make the strategy very difficult to make a good strategy and an appropriate one. It can be difficult to communicate properly with all staff, which will make auditing the internal environment very difficult. Also, the external environment. Okay, it's all very well saying, this is what's happening in the economy, but how accurate are predictions about what's going to happen in the economy, in the technological environment, etc. So we're dealing with difficulty, like finding out where the organisation is, what are its strengths and weaknesses, and what are the opportunities and threats in the environment. It's very difficult to assess that. And of course, these environments are constantly changing, so even if you make some decisions, maybe you're going to lose some key personnel, or maybe the economy will change in a way that you didn't foresee, and that will mean the strategy is not as good as it once could have been. Assessing the degree of risk of a strategy is going to be difficult, and of course you're trying to manage different stakeholders. Will staff be happy? Will customers be happy with this strategic direction? How are shareholders going to react? And managers who are trying to implement strategy need to take all of those things into consideration, which can make strategic decision making very difficult. And then once we've decided on what the strategy is, we need to implement it, which we could say is the process of executing the strategy. It can be difficult because the strategy might not be well communicated, or it might not be fully understood by the people who are supposed to execute it. Maybe they haven't been involved in the decision-making process and therefore they don't really understand it. Or it might be resisted by staff. They don't see the need for this strategy, and in fact they're anti the strategy. The strategy may not match the culture of the organisation. So it's all very well saying, we want to create a really innovative culture where everyone's encouraged to come up with new ideas. But if people are, when someone comes up with a new idea and it's ignored or not implemented, or they're told off because they've wasted time and money, then that culture doesn't actually match the strategy. The structure of the organisation might be inappropriate for the strategy. So if we want people to make quick decisions, having a tool hierarchy where people are encouraged to run all decisions past their manager, that the structure there doesn't match the strategy. I've mentioned changes to the internal and external environment, which might make the strategy difficult to execute. They rely on accurate forecasting, like the duration of a project, and often, there can be delays and overruns and things like that, which makes implementing the rest of a strategy that's reliant on something happening, that can make it very difficult to occur if there's delays and things like that. Strategies also might require heavy investment, and obviously that's an opportunity cost that reduces the amount of money that businesses have got to invest elsewhere.